Argentina ranks among the top 10 countries most damaged by floods in the world. The most affected regions are the Paraná, Uruguay, and Paraguay river basins. Our cities have experienced uncontrolled physical expansion and significant demographic growth. Over the past years, floods have hit more frequently, causing significant losses in those areas. We should refuse the idea that solutions will come only from structural works and the assumption that extraordinary events will not recur. Floods can be avoided only if infrastructure works are complemented by non-structural works, including preventive resettlement of vulnerable populations, plus appropriate legislation, land usage regulation, and zoning based on flood risk and contingency plans. An event, which is extraordinary only on a human scale, becomes a disaster when the available containment or mitigation capacity is exceeded, revealing the population's social, physical, and economic vulnerabilities and the risks some territories pose for the construction of permanent housing. Flood emergency, protection, and prevention programs were implemented with partial funding from the IBRD through loans AR/PREI 3521, PPI 4117, El Niño 4273, and PIDU 7382 in over 300 localities at different urban development levels in 12 provinces, where structural and non-structural works were undertaken to prevent and mitigate flood consequences. They have been part since 1992 of a number of multi-sector programs for flood risk mitigation and have been in execution since 2003 by the Ministry of Federal Planning, Public Investment and Services. Works undertaken included embankments, dikes, pumping stations, and sanitation initiatives. Riverfront and relief channels were constructed. Schools and hospitals were repaired and added, and shelters were built for the first time ever. Legislation was passed in order to regulate and order land usage based on flood risk, environmental impact, urban and environment diagnostics, and water quality studies were conducted. Thanks to a program for housing construction through own effort and mutual assistance, poor families affected by floods found a way to relocate to safe areas.
Esto culmina con ordenanzas de regulación de uso del suelo y también normativas para el Código de Edificación.
La SUEP, por ejemplo, actualmente se encuentra ejecutando un programa de ordenamiento territorial a municipios que tiene una raíz en los diagnósticos urbanos de los programas.
These programs were coordinated and overseen by the Central Execution Unit, which reports to the International Financing Program and Project Coordination Board.
Estas tres etapas del programa reflejaron los cambios de paradigmas. Uno era actuar en la emergencia y la rehabilitación en las obras de inundaciones, y pasamos a la etapa de la planificación.
En estos 21 años se han evitado problemas de salud en las familias, daños personales en sus inmuebles, se han evitado que infraestructuras urbanas sean dañadas, costos de relocalización, por ejemplo. Eso significan costos que se han ahorrado para la provincia, para las familias y para la nación.
The Flood Prevention and Urban Drainage Program, or PIDU, has been under execution since 2008 in 4 provinces of northeastern Argentina. Through the implementation of these programs, flood consequences were mitigated in northeastern Argentina, northwestern Argentina, Córdoba, and Chubut, and 12,118 poor families were resettled in safe houses away from their previous dwellings in flood risk areas in the Argentine Republic. Under the PREI, PPI, and El Niño, 11,911 families voluntarily relocated to houses built by program beneficiaries themselves through their own effort and mutual assistance. Under the PIDU, 207 families were non-voluntarily resettled through works completed by construction companies. The flood risk areas recovered through structural and non-structural works were then subject to appropriate bylaws governing public use spaces. This helped prevent their occupation as permanent dwelling areas.
Hoy estamos esperando una crecida del río Paraná similares al año 66 y si no tuviésemos las obras estructurales que tenemos hoy, todo el sistema de defensas, estaríamos prácticamente toda la provincia abocada a la protección del área metropolitana con el movimiento de camiones, el movimiento de suelos y el movimiento de la población. Con las obras ya ejecutadas nos permite proteger a 100.000 personas que si no estarían en esas obras de defensa, hoy podrían estar bajo agua.
We must take advantage of the experience acquired over more than 20 years' work and continue to act through interdisciplinary teams and interinstitutional groups in order to prevent and mitigate flood consequences in risk areas, thus contributing to responsible city growth management.